Hey everybody, Mariah here. Welcome to day 13 of your 21-day yoga challenge. Thank you as always for arriving on your mat. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's practice some yoga. So close the eyes, lengthen the crown of the head up towards the ceiling and drop the shoulders down the back. Throughout the last couple of weeks, we've been practicing building body awareness. And so begin to cultivate that again today as you draw the very base of the pelvic floor up towards the navel. Hollow out the belly and draw the front ribs back towards the back ribs. Soften the jaw and soften the shoulders down away from the ears. Keep this engagement of the pelvic floor, hollowing out the belly as you turn your awareness now to your breath. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Clearing the mind of any debris, anything that blocks you from focusing on your practice today. Release from the mind anything which no longer serves you, which is a burden to you, troubling to you. Release that, at least for now. Release that so that you can come more into the present moment and more into your yoga practice. Deeply inhaling and exhaling as you set an intention. Set an intention for your practice today. Setting meaning to the breath, to the asanas, and to the space in between. Allow this meaning to help penetrate your heart. Planting these seeds of intention help us to grow both on the mat and off of the mat. As you press the palms of your hands together, reaffirm your intention for your practice. Flutter your eyes open into the room and untie the legs. As you untie the legs, come into table pose, this familiar posture that we've been practicing for the last 13 days, that is. Tuck the toes and press back into downward facing dog. From down dog, extend your left leg back behind you, stacking the hips, beginning to open. Point the toes. And now bring that foot back down onto the floor and extend the right leg back behind you. Point the toes, stack the hips. Place that foot down onto the floor as you resituate yourself here in downward facing dog. Gaze up towards your hands and step one foot at a time to the hands and rise for upward facing salute. Palms come together at your heart. Hands come to your hips. And with the hands on your hips, lengthen. Create some space between your ribs and your hips. Soften the knees and swing that right foot back into high lunge and to crescent pose as you reach fingertips to sky. Open up into warrior two, reaching forward and back with intention. Lengthen the wrists up towards the sky and drop down into triangle pose. As you gaze skyward, stack the hips, take that upper shoulder a little further back. Twisting in the spine, opening in the belly. Hand comes down to the floor. Soften the front knee and step the back foot forward. Open up. Rise. Upward facing salute. Palms come down in front of your heart. And once you find a gaze point, something that you can look at to help you balance, bring your hands to your hips. Lift that left foot off of the floor and step it back into high lunge feet. And now take fingertips to sky for crescent pose. Hug the ribs back, reach up towards the sky. Lengthen through the front leg and drop down. And bend that knee. Reaching forward and back. As you drop down into this seated pose, into this deeply seated warrior two pose, bend the front knee a lot. Now lengthen through that front leg and drop down into triangle pose. Twisting in the spine, opening in the belly. Hands come down to the floor. Pivot the back foot. This time step back to plank pose. Drop the knees, cross the ankles, drop all the way down onto your bellies. Lengthen, drop the tops of the feet to the floor. Baby cobra as you press up and bring yourself back down. Tuck the toes, press into upward facing dog and back into downward facing dog. Drop the knees down onto the floor. Find table pose again. And now step the knees just a little bit further back. Take the sit bones back towards the heels, over towards the left, to the right, through center, circling the hips here. And circling in the opposite direction, creating some space in your pelvic girdle. Creating some space between the hips. And final circle, coming all the way back into table pose as you step yourself back into alignment. Tuck the chin, lift the spine, and drop it back down. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Extend the left leg back behind you, bend the knee a lot. Let the ears rest in between the biceps, and now swing that foot forward. Outer edge of the back foot hits the mat. Warrior one. From here we flow through familiar postures. Reach up towards the ceiling. Open up into warrior two, just like before. Scoop it forward and back this time. Peaceful warrior, reverse warrior two. Lengthen through the front leg. Windmill the arms down again. This is a twist for the spine and an opening for the belly. Right hand comes down to the floor. Left fingertips reach up for the side. Twisting triangle. And bring that hand back down as the heart sinks towards the straight front leg. Pyramid pose. Bend the front knee. Pivot the back foot. Step back to plank. And we move through chaturanga. Power up your pose, just like always. Drop down, chaturanga to upward facing dog. And back into downward facing dog. Extend the right leg back behind you. And bring it forward. Step the back foot in. Reach forward and to the sky. Shoulders root down towards the floor. Hug the ribs back. Lift up and out just barely. And now reach for warrior two. Tuck the tail. Find alignment with the knee and the ankle. Reach forward and back. And now scoop it back. Peaceful warrior. Create space in your body to grow and to thrive. And lengthen through the front knee. Drop down. Triangle pose. Gaze down to the floor or take that gaze up towards the ceiling. And both hands come down to the floor. Heart sinks down towards that straight front leg. Pivot the back foot. Step back to plank. Again, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Drop the knees. Sink back. Child's pose. Walk both hands to the right and through center to the left. And back to center. Reach forward. Tuck the chin and roll up. Tuck the toes and press back into downward facing dog. And we pause here. Pause to breathe. Pause to recall your intention, to bring your intention to the forefront of your mind. And now soften the knees, step or jump to a forward fold, and rise into upward facing salute. Palms come down, in front of your heart. Hands to your hips. Step back just a little bit from the very front of your mat to give yourself some space. And now swing that right foot back into high lunge. Reach for crescent. Hands come down to the floor and pop that back foot off of the floor. Take the gaze back towards the back of your mat. And now walk the hands a little further forward. As you do this, create some space as you take the right fingertips up towards the ceiling. That right leg fully engaged. Pinky edge of that foot moving up towards the sky. And out just as mindfully as we came in. Walk yourself back into standing splits and down into crescent. Hands to your hips and step forward to mountain. Inhale all the way up. Palms come together at your heart. Find a gaze point for these transitional postures. Take that left foot forward and back as you step it back to crescent. Fingertips to sky. Gaze point changes now as it moves down to the floor. Fingertips hit the floor, pop the back foot off of the floor. Gaze back towards the back of your mat. And now begin to prepare for Ardha Chandrasana. Half moon, right fingertips, like your kickstand for this posture. And take those left fingertips up towards the sky. Use the right big toe to help anchor you, as well as the pinky toe of that right foot. And as mindfully as you enter the posture, exit the posture. Softening here and lifting up, crescent pose to mountain. Hands to your hips for mountain and step to the top. Inhale, up, lengthen. Palms come together at your heart and fold. Fold forward. Hands come down to your mat. Fingertips or the palms of the hands. Bend the knees and hop back to plank. Drop down, chaturanga, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Extend the left leg back behind you. Draw that left knee in and over towards the left wrist for pigeon pose. And come all the way down onto your elbows. So settle into this pose, but don't sink down into the left glute. Stay square. Imagine hip points pointing towards the front of your mat. And breathe. Breathe here. Bring the hands to the mat. Press yourself up and out. Tuck those back toes. Extend this left foot high in the sky back behind you and then bend that knee. Coming into wild thing. So as you're ready, it's the first time we've done this posture in this challenge. Drop that left foot back behind you. Take the left hand up off of the mat. Open up the heart to the sky. Hug the navel back. Squeeze the glutes gently. And to come out, tuck the chin. Left hand comes to the floor and step yourself back into downward facing dog. Extend the right leg back behind you and bring that right knee forward towards the right wrist. Walk the left leg back as you come down onto your elbows. Remember, don't sink down into that right glute. Point those hip points towards the front of your mat. Softening the eyes beneath the eyelids as you dig into this stretch, as you allow the body to soften into this posture. And press yourself up and out. Palms of the hands press into the mat. Tuck those back toes. Lift the right leg high into the sky back behind you, and then let that right foot drop. Lift the hips, lift the hand, and drop yourself down into wild thing. Tuck the chin to come out. Take your time as you exit this pose. And roll forward to plank and down for chaturanga. And gaze up to the sky. Upward facing dog. Drop the knees. Settle back into child's pose. Stack the hands and bring the forehead to the hands. Press yourself up and out and come on down into seated pose. So from seated, extend the soles of the foot forward. Take an inhale all the way up and wiggle your way here. So create lots of space. And now fold down as you soften the forehead down towards your shins, towards your knees. Pull on the feet to give yourself more of a stretch for the back of the legs. And now reach forward up towards the sky and drop the arms down by your sides. Bring the soles of the feet together for cobbler pose. Interlace the hands at the pinky edges of your feet and drop those knees down towards the floor. Lengthen the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Turn the corners of your mouth skyward as you enjoy this opening in the body, this posture for the body. Release yourself from this pose. Open up the arms up towards the sky, out into T position. Lean back as you separate the soles of the feet from one another and fold forward. Grab for the toes, reach for the toes, the knees, the shins, anywhere. And again, wiggle your way down into a forward fold. Walk the hands forward as you're ready. And to the left. So stretching that heart over that straight left leg. And walk your way through center, opposite side. And back to center. One more big forward fold here. And now go ahead, walk yourself back. Bring the knees together, the ankles together. Make your way to a fully reclined position. Arms open by your sides. Move the soft parts of the sit bones away and wiggle your way down into stillness. Wiggle your way down into softening the body and the mind and allowing the practice to wash over you. Draw the knees into your chest and gently rock side to side. Cross the ankles, swing the feet back behind you and forward as you come into seated. Stacking the legs here, coming into your simple seated pose. Palms together at your heart, eyes open. There are so many ways to link these postures together, and as you begin to practice at home by yourself, I encourage you to mix and match, to play with your sequencing, and to have fun on your yoga mat. Thank you for being exactly as you are, and thank you so much for practicing yoga. Namaste.